Hi guys, and this is a short video on how to create a one-dimensional data table. As we discussed in the previous section of cost to create a data table. But what if you just want to create, calculate for one section of assumptions, right, or one section of scenarios, right? So in the original calculation, we saw that we calculated revenue and we referred the cells to calculate the cost, right? And then we finally calculate the profit. And after that, we wanted to test across assumptions, right? So our first question was obviously, what if the revenue was not 1000, and then what if the revenue was 1200, 1440, etc. And similarly, at the same time, our cost percentage is also changing. And the question was, how do we handle if in case we just want to test across these assumptions, right, the cost assumptions. So that is what the exercise was about, and I'm going to just quickly tell you how to do this in case of one dimension, right, which is only cost, right? So the assumption out here is just the cost percentage, right? So the logic remains still the same, right? Imagine that there was assumption out here, right? So this is just imaginary, the same width. Let's say there is an assumption out here, right? So this place still remains the place where we link the original calculation, right? The calculation that we want to repeat, and the calculation that we want to repeat is obviously the profit, right? Because we want to check various profit calculations against the change of assumptions of cost, right? So I will show you in two different ways. One is, as you can see, I'm not changing the orientation of this data series, right? So I'm going to keep the selection this way, just like how you selected from 800 in the previous data table. This is how you used to select, right? The only thing I'm changing is I'm just selecting it only at this level. Okay, so I'm not selecting revenue because we don't want to test across revenue. We just want to test across cost. Hence, my selection is only this much. Okay, because this is where I want the results to come in. Now, just like your previous selection, you will go to data, you'll click on what if analysis, and you'll click on data table, right? Now you have to understand that row input out here is blank. So do not go and select this cell, because row input is not there, right? So you're just going to take a blank cell. So you're telling Excel that that remains constant, right? No values. But the column input you have, which is 20%, right? The cost. These are your cost assumptions. And where is it in your original calculation? Out here. So press OK. So your calculations will repeat. So I showed you this in a vertical format, right? Now, what if you wanted to only do for revenue, right? So I'm going to show it for you, show it again for revenue as well, right? So let me copy the assumptions out here, right? And again, think of it this way, that there are assumptions out here, hypothetical, but we just want to calculate for this assumption, right? So in the same way, think of it like selecting the entire data table, but since I don't have any column input, my selection is going to be this much. All right. So again, this area remains your original calculation. So you're just going to click on 800 because this is the calculation that you want to repeat, right? And then you're going to select this area, right? And go to data again, what if analysis, and data table. And now row input. Now you have a row input. Your row input is your different revenues. And where are your revenues linked? It's linked out here. And a column input is blank, right? Because you don't have any data out here. So just going to take a blank cell and press OK. So there you go. That's your calculation. If your revenues changed, what would happen to your profitability, right? Now, if you want to just check if it's calculating correctly, what you could do is just remember this number 1658.88, or we can just maybe use a round off number 1728. So let's put in 1728 here and see if the number matches to 1382. Okay, so it matches. So that means your calculation that the data table is doing is correct. Similar thing, you would do it for 30%. Let's say you want to check if this calculation is correct. So I'm just going to put 30% out here in cost to check if the answer comes at 700 out here. Okay, so it does. So that means your calculation is correct and your understanding of one-dimensional data table is correct. So that's a short video on creating a one-dimensional data table. I'll see you in the next lecture.